Hello everyone, welcome to this session on how to crack IPMAT Indore. So we will be discussing the previous year test paper pattern, their cutoff, the comparison of the cutoff, the learning from them, strategy and the ideal attempt, prep plan. So let us see IPMAT 2019 and IPMAT 2022 paper pattern and the cutoffs. Why have I selected 2019 and 2022 paper pattern? The reason being the IPMAT 2023 will be on the similar line of IPMAT 2019 and IPMAT 2022 when it comes to time duration. If I look at 2019, there were 60 questions on quant, 20 short answer and 40 MCQ. However, if I look at the IPMAT 2022 paper pattern, there are 45 questions in quant, 15 short answer and 30 MCQ. The important thing to observe here is that in 2019, 60% of the question were based on quant and 40% were based on verbal. However, last year, the weightage for quant and verbal was equal, 45 questions in quant and 45 questions in verbal. The marking scheme was same, like, MCQ, quant MCQ and verbal ability were, +4 and -1 for negative. For quant short answer, it was +4 and 0 for negative. It has a sectional time limit, okay, 40 minutes for every section. If you look at the cutoff, okay, for quant short answer, 20 was the cutoff in both the year. If you look at MCQ section, in 2019 it was 31 and in 2022 it came up to 43, and verbal ability from 71 it went to whooping 112. Okay, and we can see the good attempts. So good attempts is generally taken into consideration by assuming that student will attempt at least one or two, some mistakes, and also to focus on that student will be able to maximize the score and not to just clear the cutoff. Okay, if we just compare the percentage cutoff every year from 2019 till 2022, if I look at the quant short answer section, except for 2020, I can see that, the cutoffs is, you can say that in the range of 25 to 40%. 2020 short answer section was very easy. I mean, that was a year where students were able to attempt almost all the questions, or there were 10 questions and students were able to attempt 9, 8, most of them attempted 9 or 10 as well. If you look at quant MCQ section, the cutoff, 2019 it was 20% of the overall mark and it went up to 36% in 2022. If you look at the verbal ability section, 2019 it was 45% and it keep on increasing over the year, and last year it was 62%. So we can see that the cutoffs are not constant, they keep on varying. So my suggestion to everyone watching this session is that do not have a fixed number of attempt or fixed, you need to achieve this score in this section to clear the cutoff. No, you always attempt the paper to its merit, and it's always, it's a saying, more the merrier. So maybe the cutoff may go down this year. So don't get panic in the paper that you're not able to attempt X number of questions. Attempt the paper to its merit is very important. Does the higher cutoff signify easy paper? My answer is no. There is a lot of awareness among the students about the IPMAT exam, and a lot of students have started preparing for the exam a year or 1.5 years in advance, is one of the reasons the percentage cutoffs to go high. Okay, is clearing just the sectional cutoff sufficient? My answer is again no. You may get an interview call, okay, if you clear the sectional cutoff, but to convert the final call, it's always advisable to score as high as possible in the IPMAT entrance test. The reason is very simple. 65% of the weightage is given to your aptitude test score and 35% is for the personal interview round, right? So last year, if I add all the sectional cutoff, the total overall went up to around 175. Okay, we had students who had scored in the range of 190s and 200, 205, 210, and students were not able to clear the final. They could not get an admit in the final round. So it's always advisable to score as high as possible okay, and not focus on only just clearing the sectional cutoff. So what should be the strategy? So as I said earlier, you should attempt the paper to its merit and not by keeping a fixed cutoff for each section. Focus on your strength and try to maximize in that section so that you can, boost your overall score. Ideally, we have been seen that, verbal ability is high scoring, and that's what you would have seen when we discussed the cutoff percentage. It was 45 to almost 62%, like, right? So verbal is high scoring, that generally helps students to boost the overall score. You should be attempting close to around 50% of question in each of the quant section, short answer and MCQ, and around about, at least 75% of the question is something that we suggest. Again, more the merrier. Do not restrict to this number. Also, let me give you a warning. Maybe if the paper becomes difficult, this percentage will slightly go down. Okay, but more or less, 50% in QA will not go down to 20%. It will be around 40 or 45, right? 75%, in VA will not go down to 35 or 40%. It will go on to maybe around at 60-65%, not significant lower, right? So solve mock and evolve, develop the understanding, basically, whether the paper is easy or difficult, and attempt accordingly. Now, if we look at the prep plan for quantitative aptitude section, okay, so it's a uh, combined prep plan, whether it is short answer or MCQ, because not much of a difference in question type when it comes to either section. So generally, students find this paper difficult. Okay, now the paper is not difficult because it is too lengthy or too much of calculation or too much to write. It has a good mix of easy question and a lot of moderate question and few speed breaker difficult advanced concept question. But I mean, if a student has a sound understanding of concept, student should be able to sail the quant section, basically. Okay, it tests the multi concept. So for example, you'll have questions of arithmetic and geometric progression where they will be using logarithm. In trigonometry, you will be having some modulus, or in matrices and determinant will have a trigonometry or a logarithm as an element. So it's a mix of concept that generally get tested in this particular exam. Okay, as I said earlier, you need to have a sound understanding of the concept. If your concepts are not great, it will become difficult. Very few questions are based on direct formula application. They test your conceptual knowledge. Very important, while you're solving while you're practicing at home, it's always better to develop that art of identifying this is the concept that we are going to use in this question. Okay, always try to identify before you actually solve it. And the most important thing, this particular paper, it tests your art of leaving a question. It's not about how many questions you are going to attempt. It's all about, are you able to identify those difficult questions and leave that in the first go. It's all about that. So just master this art, and I'm sure you should be able to sail through, not only clear the cutoff, but you can increase your score to a considerable good number. Now, if you see this topic, these are the topics which can definitely help students to clear the cutoff. We always see questions on simple interest, compound interest, ratio proportions, either average or mixture. You always have one time split distance question. Then you have numbers, divisibility, HCF, LCM, some trial and error combination based numbers, then linear quadratic equation, and a DI or an LR set. These are, and this particular, what you see on the right side are, 45 to 50% of the paper, comprise of this topic, higher mathematics that you will see. That's coordinate geometry, trigonometry, logarithm, matrices, determinant, sequence and series, modulus, graphs, functions, permutation, probability, and binomial theorem. Again, a student generally fear this topic, right? If I say there are around 20 to 23 questions based on this topic out of 45 questions, out of those 20 to 23 questions, you will easily able to find out around 9 to 10, 11, 9, 10, 11 questions, which will be not very easy, but easy to moderate. Okay, and the remaining will be difficult. Okay, so your job is to identify the questions which are easy to moderate from this area and try to attempt this so that your overall score also goes up. Now, we discussed about the topics and everything. Now, how should I select the question to maximize my score? And we at IMS say it is as easy as ABC. So let me explain you what is ABC. Okay, so read the question carefully. Then in the first 15-30 seconds, categorize this question based on the parameters, either it is A, B, or C. Solve immediately if it is a type A question. Come back to a type B question in the second round once you have completed all the A type question, and the type C question should be attempted only if you have attempted all the type A and B question. So what is ABC? Is basically abhi karo, baad mein karo, and chhod do. Okay, that's what we say is ABC. Now, how to categorize the question? Okay, so you need to ask question to yourself. Are you familiar with this question? Have you solved this question before? Do you know what concept is required and you'll be able to handle that question, concept? Can you visualize the path to solution? Can you know how to solve it? Okay. If the estimated time is between 2.5 to 3 minutes, yes, then you can, based on this parameter, you can then decide whether it is A, B, or C. So this is how you should be even practicing at home when you're solving the question for IPMAT Indore. Okay. Now let's look at the prep plan for verbal ability. Grammar, vocabulary, and RC, is almost most of the paper, like almost 80% of the paper will constitute of this. So in grammar, again, you will have some question based on phrasal verb. You'll have fill in the blanks based on grammar. You'll have vocabulary. You'll have synonyms, antonyms. You'll have one word fill in the blank. You'll have multiple fill in the blank in the one line probably, or not exactly para completion, but multiple fill in the blank. And reading comprehension, you always have 2 RCs. So 80% of the area is covered by this, and the remaining questions are para jumbled, para completion. Now para jumble is one area where you don't have option. You have to enter the order, you have to enter the sequence, correct sequence of the answer, right? This section, as I earlier said, is a game changer, because you can score really high in this section and outperform your competitor in this particular section. It's high scoring. A student, I have seen student last year, out of this was 180 marks section, I have seen student scoring 135, 140, okay, where the cutoff was 112. So it's really high scoring, and it tests your speed and accuracy. You need to have a good speed, good reading skill, and comprehending skill. Also you need to have, I would say, 85% accuracy is bare minimum that you should be having in this particular section. The overall prep plan will be, you focused on the, the relevant questions that are tested in the IPMAT Indore exam when you are preparing for this. Okay, so just focus on the relevant question. Solve all the past IPMAT paper, 2019, 20, 21, 22 IPMAT papers are available. Solve them so that you get understanding about what are what they keep on testing on a regular basis. So last year in 2022 there was one question which was ditto similar to what we had seen in the previous year. So if you have solved this 4 paper, probably you never know, you can have 1 or 2 similar question, not exact same, but a similar one. So you'll have an advantage. Take the IMS Sim IPMAT Indore and analyze that mock very carefully. And how to analyze the mock, there's a separate video on that. So watch that video, that will help you to understand how you should be actually analyzing a mock to improve your score. Watch and revise the the IMS IPM special session that we have been conducting for the IPMAT Indore exams. So yeah, and that's it from my end. All the best for the exam. Thank you very much.